welcome in everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. We got the full house today. How's it going, guys?
What's happening? Yeah, we should hear from Dustin since he's been gone for like 6 weeks.
It's not been 6 weeks. It's been a week. But it's nice longer. It's nice to be back, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Big week. Big week.
Elaborate, like what?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, my wife and I went on we always go on an anniversary trip every year. This year we did it a little later than normal just because our kids had so much stuff going on with the end of school in the first couple weeks of summer. So we were in Milwaukee for 5 days last week, and then we just went to the beach for the last 2 days. And then yesterday I had a corporate call for work that I had to handle during the time of the podcast. So yeah, it's been a busy last couple days.
Right on.
So do you know when your anniversaries is coming so that we have more than 6 seconds worth of heads up?
Right? Like I feel like a week off is like a planned thing that you can let people know about.
Well, our anniversary, like, obviously I know the day of the anniversary, but it all depends on what the kids have going on for, like, summer school and what they have going on, like, once school's out. Because we always try to plan it around their baseball schedule. We always try to plan it around, like, what they have going on. So last year we went the week of Memorial Day because nobody had anything going on that week. This week,
I still feel like for being gone a week, you probably knew before, like, minutes before we were going to go live. Like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there was some planning in a week away.
Not necessarily. No, we planned it actually Friday night or Saturday morning before we left where we were going to go.
I feel like you need a life coach.
I don't need no life coach.
That sounds like it was still days before.
Well, at least you let us know that you weren't going to be going. Yeah, they were going to be going for the week. Within like 4 seconds before the show. So it was good.
I think what we're saying, Stat Guy, is 6 seconds isn't enough time. It's not enough time.
Yeah,
like,
weirdly, I design the show differently when there's less people on it.
It's okay. We will forgive you, but for future considerations, at least 72 hours.
I mean, we're docking your pay for sure.
I told him that already. I said we are docking your pay. You are so on suspension right now.
Docking my pay. When did I get the first check?
Well, no. Now you owe us. That's
the
thing.
That's the problem. Now we're actually going to get paid.
Man.
So, anyways, go ahead. You start.
In actual sports stuff, I did get last night. I did get my credentials for today's game, so I will be in the house for the Storm Fever game. And as crazy as the New York game was, I would imagine this one is going to have about as much just craziness because of the Caitlin Clark effect getting in there.
Yeah. So. And did we solidify the press conference for the Indiana this time? So we're on track to make both of those.
Yeah, so I don't have the time for that. So I'm going to have to figure out what the time is once I get there. Yeah, so I have the timeline for all of the Storm action. I don't have it for the visiting team. So no, I have not.
We got to get that figured out because we definitely need some Caitlin Clark coverage.
Well, so the opposing team may not have her anyway. So what it was for the Liberty, it was just their coach.
Okay. So she may not even be available. It was just a coach on that one. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the problem. I feel like the WNBA would want to have her available. You would think they would want to have her because it goes back to the whole marketing and gathering an interest, you know?
I don't believe they are worried about that.
Apparently.
Yeah. No, it's I don't know. We'll see what it is. You know, obviously this is second time in the building, so there's still a lot of learning. But
well, congratulations on getting the credentials.
Yeah. Always cool. So looking forward to that. And this one's going to be kind of fun because I know a couple of the reporters that are going to be there for this one. So that'll be pretty cool. A buddy of mine, Steven, is one of the photographers for USA Today. He's working this event. So I'm actually going to know some people in the building this time, which is a huge bonus.
Hey, that does help. I mean, I don't disregard that kind of stuff. Anytime you got some connections in there, that is valuable stuff to have. I mean, it makes the process, I think, a little bit easier for you. So yeah.
So yeah,
well,
there we go.
And I think somebody should make a T-shirt like it now. I'm gonna maybe start selling a T-shirt that says "Hack a Cat" and have a cat in Caitlin Clark's jersey and stuff like that, and make some type of cartoon and have that on T-shirts and sell that. I think that's a big seller there. Hack a Cat.
Someone would. I mean, certainly Indiana fans would buy that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So. I just need somebody else to I need a picture of one of the other jerseys. And then what would I use to would I have them with a billy club? Is that how they would hack them?
I feel like you should either use a Connecticut Sun jersey or a Chicago Sky because of all the controversy stuff.
I mean, if you use Chicago Sky, just put Angel Reese's face.
That's
weave
the thing.
on there.
Yeah, nope, because I don't want to get sued by Angel Reese.
Exactly.
But I would use Tom and Jerry, kind of that would be
for sure.
Yeah, that kind of whole thing kind of makes sense a little bit.
I mean, if you did Tom and Jerry, then Cunningham should be the dog, folded arms behind her, getting ready to enforce that.
Right.
That'd be
her
amazing.
jersey sold out. She sold over 1 million jerseys or something like that, or a couple of 40,000 jerseys, and now has over 1 million followers because of what she did.
I mean, it makes sense.
Somebody's low fluid lights on,
right? Or his door's open.
No, I just turned the air. Just turn the air on a little bit.
I would say buckle your seatbelt.
No, I'm not driving right. I'm not driving right now. I'm in a parking lot. I'm waiting for this restaurant to open up in 45 minutes.
So I now watched a little bit more. How pathetic is it that the guys from San Antonio, from OKC, don't know how to open a bottle of champagne?
Right? That was wild to me, because that is not a difficult task.
No.
I mean, it would be one thing if they accidentally shot each other or something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Inexperience, I could see that being a thing. You can't get the foil off it. I don't. What are we doing right now?
Yeah, the one guy is it's the first time he's ever touched a beer.
Yeah.
Touched a beer. He's never had a can of beer in his hands.
I mean,
he called it Michelob.
Michelob.
No.
I mean, that actually goes right along with the celebration on the court and those Yankee hats they got that look like somebody did it in their garage. So, that was the least stylistic hat I think I've ever seen for any kind of championship, for sure. But I mean, even just team hat, it's got to be one of the worst hats I've seen.
Yeah.
Well, give it to the ownership of that team, who were cheesy in the first place, of straight out stealing from Seattle, and they can't even figure out how to celebrate.
I mean, that part's enjoyable. You're you guys can't even do this right.
At the end of the day, though, they win another championship, they'll know how to open up beer and champagne, right?
You think?
Well, one would hope.
Yep.
Yeah, what a time, man. What a time. Yeah?
Yeah. All right, that's all the sports talk today.
We do have some baseball. The Mariners aren't making up any ground, but the big dumper keeps yanking him out. So he's sitting at 32 right now and is on pace for 67. Now, I would imagine at some point he'll start hitting less of them for no other reason than they might not start, they might start pitching around him a little bit. But yeah, sitting at 32, he could set that AL home run. Stop. could hit that record.
Yeah, I was gonna say that dog has been getting louder and louder.
I know. Hold on.
Seems like we could have better pre-production planning, but that's okay. It's okay.
Had to get rid of that caller.
Has Cal Raleigh committed to the home run derby, or wasn't he asked about it?
I have not heard that. Yeah. He did just get player of the week, so there's that. But doesn't help their standings, though. They are still 4.5 back of the Astros. And but if it all ended today, they'd be in that final wild card spot by half a game. So
did you see?
Well, maybe if you guys can play baseball this week, you guys will catch up a couple of games because the Phillies are going to win this series.
I mean, and I hope you do. And we're playing the Twins, so there's a good chance. I mean, I think they hung 11 on them last night.
So, yeah, this is the Phillies are playing pretty well right now, especially after they lost 9 games in a row, and then all of a sudden they've won 8 of 10.
Mm.
And Houston's won 7 of 10, so
yep.
They are playing each other. It gets me that we have Suarez going, who's got a 2.2, and still Houston is a plus 150 or minus 150.
Yeah, I didn't even get a chance to see who's on the mound for us tonight. Did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah, he's 8-3 with a 3.35 ERA.
That's not bad.
Valdez,
yeah, that's Fromber. Maybe they're giving it to him based on. I think maybe it's based on a pitching thing, because Valdez is kind of one of our aces. And I'm not saying that regular Suarez isn't a good pitcher or anything. Don't get me wrong.
Joe drinking a
actually, it
little.
does have actually has a better ERA. Honestly, a 2.20 versus 3.09. So
a little too much of that vino way too early there, Joe.
Man. Well, he did say the vino was pretty strong, so
it certainly is.
Yeah, Joe. Hey, I love you, man. You're my boy, man. We do all the same teams together, but damn, son, we got to keep it somewhat realistic. I mean, I'm not trying to put down the Astros, say we couldn't sweep, but no, we're not going to sweep. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, a sweep is a big ask.
I would just like to either A, win the series, or B, just tie this series. Either one of those two scenarios, I'll feel good about.
It's only 3 games, isn't it?
Only 3 games. You can't tie it.
Well, there you go. So, all right, I didn't see how long the series was, but okay. So even at that case, if we can get 2 wins, we're at home and we have played our best at home versus our away record. So, and it should be Hunter Brown and Valdez getting the starts in this series since it's starting off with Valdez. So that's 2 really good dominant pitches for us. So yeah, that would be our best 2 shots in the first 2 games. Well, we'd definitely give up the 3rd game because then we'll probably have one of the minor leaguers or Gusto or one of the relievers coming in. Probably be a bullpen game, to be honest. But if we can get Hunter Brown and I think he's right at about a 1.88 ERA right now, and Valdez, that would be our 2 best shots to win the series. We'll see what happens.
You have played exactly. Tonight will be exactly midway through your home schedule.
Yeah.
It'll be your 41st game at home.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right.
27-13 right now as we speak.
Yeah.
We got Tip jumping in from Instagram, and nope, can't get on the Go Yankees talk. I'm glad that doesn't populate anywhere else.
So, I was looking at your entry list. You guys got some significant injuries. Obviously, Harper's out, Nola's out. The two biggest ones. Do they know? Obviously, Nola's going to be out for. I don't even know what his injury was. I didn't look at it, but let's say he's on a 60
you got
day.
Alvarez and Rogers out.
We do, and I don't know what point we're going to get Alvarez back.
Actually, and if you look at our list in comparison to yours, we got Harper, Nola, and Chase, where you've got
a lot.
Vanway, Alvarez, DeCenzo, McCormick, Rogers, Javier, France, Garcia, Leon, McCullers, Mellon, Arrighetti, Blanco, and Wisniewski.
Yeah, and Wisniewski and Blanco are done for the season, so they might as well just. They're done. They're not coming back because I think Wisniewski has Tommy John, and I think Blanco. He's definitely, if he's not Tommy John, he's close to it. So, really, Lance McCullers and Arrighetti are the only two that would maybe have a chance to come back at some point this season. Alvarez, I don't know if he's going to come back at this point. He's been on the damn list since the beginning of the season, and they keep putting him on the 10-day or whatever. But I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. I haven't heard
based on your logic yesterday, they should just sit the entire pitching staff because someone might get Tommy John again.
I'm telling you, and the sad thing is, it's so true. Like, you can't even make that up. I would ask anybody to go look at our rotation and look at the number of Tommy Johns that are in there. And when you see that many is on there, it's crazy, crazy. And I thought at some point we would either get Christian Javier back, or we would get Garcia, who basically Garcia had Tommy John back in 23, I think it was.
Yeah,
and he's still on the damn IR. And I'm like, is he ever gonna come back? Because it seems like, and correct me wrong, Stag, I know you're pretty good at this kind of Tommy John stuff. Should he have already been back by now? I mean, they say he's having setbacks, but
that's the key. Like, so he had Tommy John, I think, August of 2023, which takes him out of 2024 to begin with.
Right.
He started ramping back up in November and December, heading into spring. Complained about elbow pain in February, so they shut him down for spring training, and then they sent him to Florida to start rehabbing again, and then his shoulder started bothering him. So it's not the elbow right now. Now it's just the shoulder.
That's wild, man. There was talk at one point in 24 at the end of it in the playoffs that they were thinking that Garcia might be able to make an appearance in the playoffs. I remember when they were having that conversation. And now we went from that conversation to, who knows when we're going to see that guy, which is sad. But I do think
I like that Steve-O's trying to get us in the tinfoil hat action.
Oh, wow.
It seems early in the show for that, but
wow, that is quite early. That is quite early.
But not.
And you guys have actually played some good teams, though, Pags. Over the last 5, you just came off you had the Mets. Yeah, you just came off the series with the Mets, and you took that series from the Mets. So I mean, you're playing good quality teams. I just don't know how the Astros are going to stack, man. Honestly, it's going to be interesting to see this game.
They're not.
You can just wait till we play us this weekend, Jay, and then you can just tee off on our pitching staff because right now we're just throwing batting practice.
Perfect.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Bo got to see that firsthand over the weekend at Wrigley Field, and then Ben Brown serves up 4 2-run blasts last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, you guys helped Cal's home run streak keep rolling.
Yeah, 4 of them in 3 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like that the fans that were throwing the balls back looked like they were the least athletic people ever.
Because that's what I call the bleacher bums, because they're bleacher drinking bums out in left field and right field.
Even blasted out of my brain, I could throw a ball better than that.
Did you see the one guy that ran into the pole?
No.
So the second home run that Raleigh hit on Friday, the one that he pulled like down the left field line that hit like the way back catwalk before it bounced onto Waveland.
Okay.
The guy had a drink in his left hand and he turned to run and catch the ball and he ran right into the light pole.
That is
sitting out in
amazing.
left field.
I'll have to go back and find that highlight.
Wow. Man, I'm sitting here looking at the Astros. Look at it. You can't make this. Look how bad this looks. Hold on. Well, you can't always see
You
it.
gotta find your camera there, guy.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, but when you look at the depth chart, it's literally a IL-10 all over it, and you got to pick and pluck to try to get somebody to fill the damn rotation. I guess they're gonna put Dubon in left field because Altuve is gonna have to play second because of Rogers being out. Melton's on the IR. Freaking Alvarez. I mean, DiCenzo, McCord, they're all on the fucking IR. It's like, what are we gonna do? It's like crap.
Sounds like a lot of crying to me already.
Oh, I'm not crying. I'm not crying.
Sounds like crying.
I'm just amazed.
Sounds like crying. Sounds like crying. I'm just letting you know.
Well, I don't have any cheese, so if you have some cheese, please send it over because I got some good wine.
Yeah.
Oh, Jamie, is that all you care about?
Go back to that military saying. This is wah. This is wah.
Yeah. No, hey, let me tell you something, Dino.
Apparently, it's a lot of crying in baseball.
There is a lot of crying in baseball. Not even it's sobbing. There's a lot of sobbing in baseball.
So as we're just about to get to the midway point, do you feel that the umpires have done enough this year to keep their jobs and not go to the mechanical umps?
No, and no.
So I think it probably no, I don't think they've done enough, but I don't think it happens for next year. That being said, when you look at some of these that have been challenged plays, the amount of bad calls out of a challenge has been crazy. I mean, we watched one, I think it was yesterday. Should have went as a foul, right? It was called in the moment, hit by pitch, and then in slow motion you can see it hit the end of the bat, right? Should have been a foul ball. They still gave him the bag, right? There was another one where guy rounds first, slides second. Then in slow motion, you can see his hand get back to the bag before the tap, right? Like you can see a noticeable gap between the glove and his hand. Still called him out. And you're just like, okay, I mean, you have the benefit of slow motion.
Of
you
course.
have all of these camera angles. How do you still get the call wrong? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. You just be like, hey, you know what? He was safe. Cool. Like, it's not like anybody's going to look at that and be like, you know what, in real time, you really should have saw that. I mean, that was such a bang, bang play that it was a good challenge and it should have been a challenge they won.
What you don't know is Angel Hernandez is in the booth.
And he's just rolling chaos dice. He's just like, and out.
The biggest issue that I have this year with umpires, and yes, they're missing a lot of balls and strikes this year, even more than they were missing last year. But it's the amount of quick triggers that these home plate umpires have this year. Like,
Sure.
If you're going to miss calls, then you need to be held accountable for it, or you need to at least let the player, the catcher, the manager at least kind of run you a little bit on it, because if you're going to be that bad behind the plate, you're going to hear it from somebody. You can't have such a quick trigger. I mean, look at I don't know if you guys watched the College World Series this weekend with LSU and Coastal Carolina. First inning, the home plate umpire tosses the Coastal Carolina umpire because he literally
and then bans him for 2 games.
He literally came out of the dugout and didn't even say anything. He literally looked at the umpire and said, "Where did that miss?" And the umpire throws him out.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't even argue with you. I was asking where it missed so I can let my catcher and my pitcher know.
Yeah. No, that was ridiculous.
Did Coastal Carolina win?
No, they lost 5-3.
They did.
Both games?
Yeah, they lost the first game 1-0. The run scored in the first inning, and then the guy from LSU ended up throwing 131 pitches in the complete game. But yeah, like he literally came out of the dugout, didn't even yell at the umpire. He just said, "Did that miss high or low?" And he went like this, and the umpire just rang him out. And then then the manager just lost his crap. He's like, I didn't even argue with you. I was asking.
Yeah, I mean, the umps in every sport have gotten a little bit too much. I need the cameras on me.
Yep.
Like they're not coming out and saying that, but their actions sure show that.
Right.
They're supposed to be a non-factor of the game, right? Like they're supposed to be calling the game. There should never be an emphasis on who those guys are, right? Like if you know who their names are, bad things have happened.
Right. Or good things if you call a perfect game. Like the one umpire a month or so ago,
Sure.
They called like a perfect game in terms of balls and strikes.
Sure. That happens far less, but yes.
Yeah, right. It does happen far less, which is why I'm really in favor of the robotics calling the balls and strikes, not necessarily the decisional making in terms of safe or whatever. They still got humans for that, but at least the balls and strikes aspect, because then it's going to give us an unbiased, approach, and it'll be the same approach all across the board, not because this batter's here or this batter or this pitcher's here or whatever, but it's just more unbiased ball and strike calling.
I don't mind a strike zone that's not perfect as long as it's consistent.
That's
like,
the thing.
I don't
that's the word right there, consistent.
And
yeah,
the
I
other
don't
thing,
care if it's a little bit outside, on the catcher side, so that the ump can't quite see him right. Like I don't mind that being a little expanded or a little bit low or anything like that, as long as it's true all game.
The other thing too is, and like Jay will know this, and James or Pegs will know this because of JT Real Moto and whatever, but when you have an automated balls and strike system, it takes the element of pitch framing away. And that is something that is not talked about enough in Major League Baseball, and that's what made Greg Maddux so successful, is where if you have a catcher that is a very good pitch framer where he can steal balls and strikes for your hitter, that is a huge aspect of the game. So if you go with these automatic balls and strikes, pitch framing is going to become less important because you can frame the pitch. All the batter's got to do is tap his head to challenge it, and then it's a ball. And then they're like, well, we don't have to practice pitch framing anymore because it ain't going to matter now because I can't steal the pitches
goes back to the Mets game. This I want to say the one on Friday. That umpire I was watching. He just kept throwing balls like they were like probably a good. When they show it now, they actually show how far away it is. It was probably a good inch off of the box, low, consistently. He kept calling it a strike, and you saw the Met guy like frame it pretty good. Like he was actually doing the whole where he was moving his glove too much. The reason why the Braves used to get that call all the time was because he did not move his glove very much. So the truth of the matter is that they're playing this pitch framing thing. But the truth of the matter is that if that glove is moving in any way, it should almost always be a ball.
And like the ones that are really good at it, like JT Real Muto and then Javi Lopez back when Greg Maddux was pitching, they do something that a lot of people don't even realize. Like when they're in their stance and they see where the pitch is going, they either lean like really far to the right of their leg, so as the pitch is coming, they're kind of leaning back to the left, so when they catch it, it's like kind of all in one motion and goes back to the middle, as opposed to these catches that kind of jab out and try to pull it back. If you slow it down on the really good pitch framers, you can see that they're leaning on the side of the plate that the ball is going, so as soon as the ball hits the glove, it's like all one motion. They're kind of going back to their natural position.
So, but they were, like I said, all of the Braves pitchers were great at that because he would set up and they would throw right to the glove and he wouldn't have to move the glove.
Yeah.
The movement of the glove is what kind of does this now. Like I feel like the moving of the
Javi Lopez with Maddux and Glavine and Smoltz could line up like 2-3 inches outside and just put the glove right there. And if he doesn't move that glove at all, that umpire's going to call it a strike every time because like the glove never moved. Like that's where he set up. That's where the ball went.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's all about deception. Who can deceive the best when you're pitch framing, right? I mean, I think that's what you're talking about, Dustin, is that he's really good at the deception side of it.
And that's the main reason why I don't want the automated balls and strikes, because that is a skill that not every catcher has. And if you have
Yeah.
that skill where you can be a great pitch framer, more credit to you. It helps your pitchers out. It helps your staff out.
No, and that's why I would rather not go that route. But if you're gonna be just terrible at calling balls and strikes, there was a guy, I think it was the end of last week, that missed 25 calls like that. That's insane.
Yeah.
Is it a realistic possibility that next year we would possibly have the umps, the robot umps?
It's going to be in spring training. Every spring training game is going to have it.
Yeah, and then in theory, the challenge should be for the regular season, where it was only in preseason this year, and I believe they're going to do it in the postseason also.
They will make that decision over the All-Star break if they're going to bring the challenge in for the postseason. And from all accounts, it does sound like that will get passed for this postseason.
Yeah, but in theory, for next year, it should be in every game all year.
And then the automated balls and strikes will be pretty much the same situation, where they're going to test it throughout all the spring training games, see how it goes. Then they'll vote on it and see if it's something they want to use in the postseason next year, and then go into the lockout year and figure it out from there.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
so if I understand what you're saying that they're going to use it in spring training, and then if it passes in spring training, then as soon as we would see the robotic umpire would be in the postseason of next
2026 postseason, heading into basically the lockout pending year. And then once you have the new CBA, chances are the new CBA is going to be like automated balls and strikes all the way through.
Okay.
That's kind of why they do it that way, just because if you put it in the postseason and it has success, 3 weeks after the playoffs are done, it's right on the drawing table for the next CBA. Like, it's literally like, well, you just use it in the playoffs. You saw the success we had with it. Let's just get this knocked out of the way right away. Let's just get this taken care of. Is everybody for voting in this? Okay, good. We'll put this in the next CBA.
Yep. Yeah, no, it seems to be the way they're implementing stuff now is spring training, not during the season, but if it worked in spring training the following year, they bring it in.
Yep.
So.
Hey, real quick, I know you said 2027. You were referring to it as the lockout. So is that like a for sure thing, or is that something you're thinking is going to happen based on maybe they're not going to give
99.9% sure it's happening.
Yeah, it's definitely headed that way because their communication.
Because of the Dodgers.
What?
Because of the Dodgers.
Well, not just because of the Dodgers, it's because the players don't want to budge on a salary cap. The owners are at the point now where they want some sort of a salary cap and some sort of a salary floor implemented, so you don't have certain teams with $380 million in payroll, and then teams like the Athletics, the Royals, and other teams that are like $30 million. Like, these owners are at like, we need to have teams be between $100 and $270 million, somewhere in that range, to get more of a competitive balance, and these players don't want it. Because the players know that the moment they agree to a salary cap, these 10-year, $500 million contracts will no longer be a thing because teams won't be able to give them out.
Yeah, well, and that's why he says it's because of the Dodgers, because they
defer everything.
$1 billion in payroll and 2 guys.
Yeah, and they defer everything, so they're only paying them like the $130 million of that $1 billion they own.
Well, yeah, but
no, exactly.
But they should still have to pay the luxury tax on all of that. And the truth of the matter is,
they're under the luxury tax on the deferred deals.
Right. Yeah, but that's not how that should work. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that's all going to change, and they're going to get back taxed a tremendous amount.
They are, because right now I think their payroll is like, I think they said their payroll is like $389 million is what their payroll is right now. But 270 of that $389 million is deferred. So it's like they're only paying 120 of that $389 million is what they're owing up front right now.
How much is this deferred thing that they're doing with the Dodgers? How much is that going to bite them in later years? Like, are they going to be? Is this really going to mess them up financially when they got to pay this deferred money?
No, because they get $1 billion a year on their TV deal.
Yeah, and not even just that, but even if they end up not being a good team the last 3-4 years, it doesn't matter. It already worked, right? Yeah. They got a ring. They'll probably get another one before you really have a decline in talent. So, I mean, ultimately, whether they're bad for a few years at the end of those contracts doesn't really matter because it already worked.
Just put it this way, Jay. The Mariners, the Astros, and the Cubs bring in probably $500 to $600 million a year between those three TV networks annually. The Dodgers are getting $1 billion a year from their TV network. It is a unicorn TV network deal that no other team in baseball has, which is why they can do what they've been doing.
Yep. And no, Scott, I don't think they'll make money in Vegas unless they actually put a team together that people want to watch.
Hey, if you read the reports in Vegas right now, Vegas is charging you right now for a product that doesn't exist.
What do you mean?
They're having trouble funding the stadium in Vegas right now, so they want the citizens of Las Vegas to pay $19 a day for the next 3 years to help fund the stadium. So
$19 a day?
$19 a day is what they want to charge the Vegas citizens to help fund this ballpark. So they're basically trying to charge Vegas for a product that doesn't exist yet.
How are they
wouldn't even make sure that owner sells the team?
Right? But how would you even implement that?
I don't know. That's what they were talking
Well,
about.
I guess it'd be implemented in your taxes, your property taxes or whatever, some kind of way, wouldn't it?
Well, that's what I'm curious about. How would you implement that?
That's the only thing that I can think of is property taxes or state taxes or city tax or something.
It's $7,200 a year.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
$73.30 actually.
Yeah, they're basically saying they're charging the citizens of Vegas basically what it would cost for the cheapest season tickets that you can own, which would be, like you said, around $7,300 is what the cheapest season ticket cost would be. So they're basically charging citizens of Vegas a season ticket down payment for the next couple of years because they're having trouble funding for that stadium.
That's weird that Vegas would have a hard time funding the stadium with all the money that they have.
Because Vegas only agreed to pay for $500 million of the stadium, and the stadium right now is supposedly supposed to cost $1.7 billion. And the Athletics went back to Vegas and said, "We want you to up your $500 million to, I think, $750 million."
That's why I say somebody else should go there. Have the Rays move there.
Yep,
sure.
Because the Rays just were bought by somebody out of Jacksonville, and the guy that bought the Rays out of Jacksonville has a lot more money.
He hasn't bought them yet. He hasn't bought them yet.
Cool. Yeah, he's in talks with them, but he's got more money than the A's owner does.
Yeah, but he's going to probably move them to Nashville.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're not going to Duval County.
No. I thought they might go to Orlando.
Yeah, see, I could see this. If it was on the sports books, stuff like that, those kind of taxes would make sense. But when it's worded as they're trying to make all of the citizens pay it, that's where my question comes in, because that's more of a fixed tax, like your property taxes, stuff like that, as opposed to, when you're looking at sports books, that's going to get funded by a lot of people visiting Vegas.
Yeah.
Or if they would just take some of that tollway money and take some of the tollway money to pay for it as well. I don't know if Vegas has tolls, but I know here in Houston, some of the tollway money goes to pay for things like that.
I don't think Vegas
has tolls. I don't recall, as much as I've driven around down there, I don't recall there being tolls.
Either
that or I just didn't pay them in a rental car, and jokes on them. But I don't recall seeing toll booths in Vegas.
Okay.
I think Reno might have one or two, but I don't think Vegas does.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I can't think of one there.
Interesting.
Yeah, and see that's the thing. It seems like there would be some weird legal loopholes to be able to make that work. Only because usually there's, the propositions that, they go towards vehicle tabs or, something. But for a stadium, how we ended up with it, I believe, was it went into a sales tax when we had to do part of our stadium here. I think it went into some of our sales tax, but some of the rapid transit to that area, that hit our property taxes. So, I mean, they can kind of finesse it around a little bit. I'm just curious how it is.
But it seems like, though, to me, if they were going to do a stadium and ask the citizens to help fund part of that stadium, that there would have to be a vote that the citizens would have to go in there and do a vote to see if it would get approved, like in a bond
I think
or
it's
something
just
like that, right?
I think it was more
Yeah.
so the way that it was worded. I think it probably has like things where it's like, oh, we're gonna like add taxes to this, and this, but it's like standard taxes that the citizens pay anyways. So it's gonna come out to being like basically $19.63 more per day on the taxes. Like I don't think the citizens are directly paying it. I think it's just the way that they worded it that made it sound like, oh, we're charging the citizens
I mean, they're still
$19
directly
and
paid.
63 cents a day. Yeah.
I mean,
But
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, it's funny that you say, don't you have to vote on it? Technically, yes. That doesn't always mean anything because we voted down a monorail that we still ended up spending $20 million on to not build.
That's nuts. Well, I know they wanted us to, like, for example, they wanted us to build a hospital out here in Walker County, and it was $270 million, and it was going to be through a bond, and we had to go down there and vote, either support the bond or no to negate the bond, and they wound up negating the bond because nobody wants to pay property taxes because it was going to go skyrocketing property taxes. So that's why I was asking if that was something that they'd have to vote on, or is that just something?
And that's why I made this comparison because we actually voted down the monorail, and then they still spent $20 million on trying to figure out how to build it.
Yep.
That we are still paying off after they decided, after spending $20 million on studies, to not build it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if you vote it down, that doesn't mean that your state won't still push it through anyway.
Yeah, like if a big city or like a state has like a plan in place and they pretty much have decided beforehand, like, oh, we're gonna build this, they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, let's just have the city vote on to make it look like we are letting the city vote on it, but it's not gonna matter. They're gonna be like, well, we already decided to build this, we gave the vote, so we're still gonna build it anyways.
That just blows my mind, man. That blows my damn mind. And then they charge all these citizens all this money to build these stadiums, but then they charge them to go into the stadium. So it's like,
oh yeah,
I don't know. That whole concept still blows my mind.
And Scott, you're not wrong. The buffets in Vegas are ridiculous.
Yeah, they're getting a lot more expensive, and they're not as good as they used to be.
That's the thing, is they're not as good, and they are way more.
Yeah.
I remember when, going to Vegas was actually like, it was cheap to fly there and it was cheap to eat there because they were trying to make their money off of you gambling. Right.
Right.
And now that they've rebranded it as a family destination, which is still hilarious to me. Now everything's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive to fly there.
They gouge everything now. So
yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't even enjoy it anymore. Like I used to love going to Vegas. Used to go, every couple of years. And now I'm just like, yeah, like I'm good. For the amount of money I'm going to spend in Vegas, I could go on an actual vacation.
Or I could go right down here from Houston. I live in Houston, so I go right down Lake Charles. Had that same gambling experience. Yeah, we'll have the glitz of Vegas, but still, for a fraction of the price.
Yeah, if gambling is your thing, then yeah, you can probably find something local. I'm not a gambler, so that has like I would go to Vegas because I enjoy the nightlife and stuff like that. Like that was fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. And that's where I would go. Honestly, I would go for the shows. I want to see Cirque du Soleil, things like that. But now that I hear how much you guys are saying it is, like you said, Bo, I mean, it's crazy. Financially, it's crazy.
Scott, right here, like a bottle of water in Vegas, yeah, $7.50. Like that's a real thing.
And that's honestly why hotels are a lot cheaper in Vegas than what people think they are, because they want you to go to the hotels because they know when you go there you're going to spend money on gambling and all this other stuff that.
Well, that's the thing is they're not that cheap anymore.
They're not cheap anymore, but like compared to like what you would think like a hotel in Vegas would cost, it's a lot cheaper to stay at a hotel in Vegas than what people would think it is, just because they want you to go to Vegas, so you start spending your money on everything.
That used to be. That's not really the case anymore.
No, I know it's not the case anymore.
They nickel and dime you for everything anymore. It's like it's like I said, they're gouging everything. So
yeah, I mean, you don't even really get like the free drinks that you used to get, like unless you're at one of the higher stakes, like poker tables or something, because it used to be if you were sitting at a gaming table, they were feeding you drinks because they knew you were going to lose all your money if you were drunk. And
right.
Now they're like,
that's the thing, though. I mean,
your drink is going to cost you $20 and
yeah, no doubt. But that's the way it is across the board. I don't even think it's just Vegas, right? I mean, if you look across, I know we were talking about this earlier when we were talking about annual APRs for buying a car or truck or whatever. It just seems like across the board, everything in this country has just, everything's expensive.
I mean, yeah, inflation over the last 5+ years has been crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even parking and like we were talking about earlier, parking. Concession stand prices, all that stuff that it takes to go to these games. I mean, everything has just gone up in price significantly.
Yeah, well, your buying power has significantly decreased over the last 5+ years. But I mean, at this point, $100 bill is an adult dollar. Like if you walk through your front door, it's going to cost you $150.
Yeah,
you haven't done anything. You're just walking out the door. You'll come home $150 lighter without even trying.
You said you'll walk out the door, just say hi to the mail carrier, and you'll come in and be like, "Oh, there goes my $100 bill for the day."
Yeah, pretty much. If you go out with your significant other, it's probably a couple hundred, maybe $3.
That's why I have a cabinet full of Spam.
So what did you guys?
Crystal Light packets.
So what did you guys think of the NBA trade that went down this morning?
Oh, Drew Holiday going back to Portland.
They didn't really give for the second time in as many off seasons he got traded to Portland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
It didn't cost him much. What, I think a couple of second rounders and a player. I didn't remember who the damn player was.
It was Anthony Simmons that went from the Blazers.
There you go. So it say the Boston Celtics $40-something million, which tells me that the Celtics were just trying to move money off their payroll.
I just think it's funny that he got traded to the same team 2 off seasons in a row. Because the Bucks traded him to Portland last year, and then 24 hours after he got traded to Portland released him, and then the Celtics signed him. Now 1 year later, we'll trade you back to Portland. Maybe they'll release you again, and you can sign somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I find very interesting is that Ace Bailey said he doesn't want to go to the Sixers. Do not draft me, Sixers.
Well, that means he'll go to the Sixers.
Right.
So he's pulling that kind of a Shedeur Sanders, telling what team he doesn't want to play for, type of thing.
Well, from what I understand, he has screwed up his interviews so badly that he's starting to drop naturally. So it's possible that's like he's doing it right, I guess enough to get people thinking like, oh, well, obviously he might be a liability, so let's not draft him here, or here.
I mean, at the same time, that means he's probably going to land on a better team.
If it works out that way, right now they got Charlotte taking him at 4.
Oh.
I mean, that's not falling too far.
I'm about to say it's like one spot,
right? Because I mean, ultimately, if he's saying that he doesn't want to go to the Sixers, I mean, if I was ownership right now, I'd have to really heed that and say, okay, I can't take him. There's no chance that I can take him. I can't take the responsibility of him possibly not really wanting to come and play with us.
Yeah.
The bad PR would be too much.
Yeah, I don't even think if he doesn't like playing there or doesn't want to play there, would he even resign after his contract was up?
Well, yeah, but that's one thing has nothing to do with the other. That would be 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
So I mean, that's not.
That would be he doesn't sign his rookie deal type of thing. Like, holds out, re-enters the draft next year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did the Cincinnati Bengals rookie sign his rookie deal yet, or is he still not?
No.
As far as I know, he's still out.
I haven't seen that signed yet.
I also heard that the Eagles' number 2 second-round pick also has not signed.
Well,
it's interesting how many second-round guys haven't signed their deals.
Huh.
Yeah. The Shamar Stewart one with Cincinnati, though, is interesting because the longer he goes without signing that deal, somebody said he can go back to college.
Yeah, so the thing is, and that's why I made that comment about basketball. I don't know if it's true for basketball, but if you completely hold out, you can re-enter the draft.
Yeah, I think that's what they were talking about with Shamar Stewart with Cincinnati, where if he does not sign his rookie deal by the time training camp starts, like middle of July, July 20, whenever it starts, he has 11 days from the start of training camp to decide if he's going back to college, and he would have to make that decision by August 1st. Well, if he does not sign that rookie deal by July 20th, he's probably not signing it by by August 1st, so he's probably going to end up going back to college.
I mean, it's entirely possible. The thing is he's just asking for what
So
other
what
teams
happens in that case? I mean, obviously, like the Bengals have lost their pick now; they can't go back and redo the pick.
Yep.
Does that become like same thing with like an unrestricted free agent when you lose an unrestricted free agent and you're going to get a compensatory pick?
Yeah, they get a compensatory pick. I don't know what round it would fall in, just because I don't know how many times it's actually happened in the NFL where that's actually happened, but they would get some compensation for it.
I think it's actually just a third rounder.
Okay.
Is what I was reading the other day, but it wasn't from the NFL, so I don't know if that's accurate. Yeah. But what I was reading is it would only be a third.
Yeah.
And so you basically would. It's almost treated as if because it's happened a couple of times where guys didn't get their selection in before the 10-minute mark and they lost their pick. So it essentially kind of goes down as that, as you lose your pick. Now they get one of those picks back, but it's not as high of a pick. So, I mean, you essentially just threw that pick away. But at the same time, he just wants guaranteed money on a rookie deal. Yep. Other teams that pick players after you have done it. So, I mean, I don't really get the apprehension there. Just give the kids some money.
And the other issue,
the Bengals in a weird spot because Hendricks hasn't signed. If Stewart doesn't sign and goes back to college, that really puts Cincinnati's defense in a bad spot.
And I mean, you got a second rounder that has a fully guaranteed. I don't know why they're this worried about it. But
and the other caveat too with that is if Shamar Stewart is to go back to college, he cannot go back to Texas A&M. That's the only thing with him going back to college is he has to go somewhere else. Which if he's like, oh, I'm going back to college, every program in the country is going to want to add him to their defense.
What was the reason of him not being able to go back to A&M? It just negates that?
Because he hired an agent, and because he declared for the draft of Texas A&M with an agent, he's not allowed to go back to the school he declared for the draft with the agent. Had he not hired an agent, he could go back to Texas A&M.
Gotcha.
That's weird. Okay.
And Brad, we actually talked about that at the beginning of the show. But yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, they need him.
They need him and Hendrickson.
Well, that's the thing is the kid does have some leverage here because there's nobody on that defense. Like, not only is that defense terrible anyway, but you can't have your new rookie not there and one of your hallmark players also not there. I mean, you're talking a bad unit that's somehow going to be worse.
It's going to be arena football. It's going to be arena football when they play the Bengals. It's going to be like 40-40 games because Cincinnati's not going to be able to stop anyone. So they're going to be like, well, let's just let them have the ball for 2 minutes so we can get the ball back and try to score.
No, that's exactly what I was about to say is they're going to have to score 50 in a game to win because the other team is going to score every time they touch the ball. Mm-hmm. So they better touch the ball last and they better score every time somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I mean, I'm saying there's a chance they miss the playoffs again.
I mean, there's a chance that Zach Taylor keeps his string of starting 1-4, 1-5 going, and then tries to figure it out mid-season.
But I wonder, you got to think that Joe Burrow is a competitor. He wants to win championships. What is he thinking about this team? Like, is this really the team that I want to continue to devote my career to when we can't even get, our players that we need to get?
They paid his guys. They paid his guys. They paid Chase and they paid Higgins. Yeah. Like, they paid his guys. Like, the ones that he works with are paid. They're signed. They're extended for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
Like, Burrow's not going to be like, I don't want to be here anymore because you paid my 2 weapons that I throw the football to.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to win one with no defense. Like, that's just not how football works.
So it's like you're saying that as long as he has his two, that's what I'm saying. So he's almost willing to concede winning a championship as long as he has his two weapons, and that's crazy.
I mean, the thing is every player has to decide if they're there for money or if they're there for rings, right? If you're there for rings, you don't try and make the most money ever put in front of you.
Yeah.
Right. The Bengals did that. I want the biggest contract ever. Well, cool. You got it. You know what you're not going to do is win.
Right.
Because the teams that win, those quarterbacks take a little bit less. Those receivers take a little bit less so that you can actually have balanced talent across your team. When you have your entire defense making less than 3 guys on the offense, you're not going to win a lot of games.
Nope.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
I mean, Joe Burrow's contract's only a 5-year deal, so if he's traded within 5 to 7 years, he's probably not in Cincinnati at that point.
Well, I mean, you have to think at some point Burrow's like, you know what? I do want to try and win, and he'll restructure to something that makes more sense.
Yeah, or Higgins will ask out, or Jamar Chase will ask out, and then it just becomes even more of a headache.
Well, the team has outs on Higgins, so they're only stuck with him for 2 years anyway.
Yeah.
And then they have outs on his contract.
Yeah.
So his contract actually had a lot of incentives to it.
Yeah.
So they do have a way to get out of his, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they burn to the ground because it's entertaining. Anytime I see super greedy contract getters, you want to see the team just blow.
Just burn. The roof is on fire.
And on that horrible note, we are at the top of the hour. Thanks for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. And of course, if you're on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.